a little nervous because I was here late and I apologize for that. It was on me. Never look at your email, just leave. So I'll call the meeting workshop of the Central Valley Flood Protection Board of December 6, 2024. So welcome to you all. Let's be sure that we have a quorum. So would you call the roll? Mr. Knapp?
Member Andrews,
Present.
Member Bosler,
Here.
Member Griego, Member Countryman is absent. Secretary Johnson,
I see you.
I'm here.
Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan.
I'm here. Do we expect Mr. Countryman?
Don't know.
Don't know, haven't heard from him, but our vice president's not able to attend today. Okay, we do have quorum. We have five. Look at all those shiny faces. Good morning, everyone. I'm looking forward to this. So any introductions, any announcements, Mr. Leaf?
Yes. Got one announcement. I have a departure to announce. So Jillian Bency Woodward has accepted a well-deserved promotion to a senior engineering position at the Palmdale Water District. Jillian's been a key member at the board, consistently demonstrating dedication, expertise, and a willingness to collaborate throughout the organization with a positive attitude. Her contributions to our organization have been significant, and we wish her all the best in her new role. Please join us in thanking Jillian for her hard work and commitment. Her last day with us will be January 3rd. She might be online. No, she's not.
Wow, well, of course we wish her well, but I'm very sorry for that. She's been one of our stars, like, and I see many others out in the audience, so these things happen. I wish her well.
Mr. Countryman will be joining online here by 11.
Oh, Member Countryman will join about 11 a.m. online. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay, so no other announcements? No
other
one,
announcements.
you're not introducing someone to take her place already? Just go tell the governor we need some more money.
Trying.
I know you are, but you're in a long line. Good. Our agenda today is very simple in terms of items, but very appropriate and will be engaging. I'm looking forward to this and hearing from all of you. We got the written report, but I think when you give it in person, it just seems better. But I'm going to hold that off and take first the item that's called public comment. And that's the item for anyone who wishes to address the board for a matter that is not on the agenda. And you could come forward. I have some. I think I recognize some of these names. Mr. Pete Spalding, you're up first. There you are. And then Nancy Niskern right after that. Those are the nope.
High-tech IT. Good morning, President Dolan, board members, Mr. Leaf. Thanks very much for moving up public comment to the beginning of the meeting. I was kind of hoping you would do that. Hope you all had a happy and safe Thanksgiving. And I want to speak to you quickly about, you know what, Contract 3B. At your November 15th meeting, a question arose about the status of holding a workshop with respect to the proposed Lower American River Erosion Control Contract 3B. The ensuing comments noted that a workshop was still planned, but that because construction for Contract 3B would not begin until 2026, there was no urgency to have a workshop. While it's true that construction is not planned to begin until 2026, the Army Corps stated in their upcoming milestones section of their October 2024 monthly update that it wishes to begin veg clearing for Contract 3B as early as the fall of 2025. This veg clearing includes cutting down the riparian forest and the associated heritage oaks and other trees, almost 700 of them, to make way for the Contract 3B riprap. In other words, the impacts caused by 3B that the public is most concerned about are going to happen in 2025, not 2026. Further, the Army Corps intends to finish its response to public comments for Contract 3B by April 2025, which means the final supplemental environmental impact statement could be issued by April of 2025. From our perspective, it's essential to have a workshop about Contract 3B prior to the issuance of the final supplemental environmental impact statement. The intent of the workshop should be to address Contracts 3B design features and discuss alternative ways to avoid or lessen the harm to the riparian forests that Contract 3B will cause. That means the workshop must occur before April 2025. On behalf of American River Trees, I urge you to hold the workshop on February 14th, your first scheduled workshop for 2025. I think it would be most appropriate that we use the workshop to show our love for the wild and scenic American River on Valentine's Day. I also want to invite all the board members and staff to come to the Parkway Access on Kadima Drive next Saturday, December 14th at 10:30. This is another section where the Corps is proposing significant tree and vegetation removal. We'll share important details about the proposed project, including our concerns and proposed less destructive alternatives. We'll walk right along the riverbank. We are committed to working together to improve the project design by incorporating state-of-the-art modeling, meaningful community engagement, consulting with the Corps' own Engineering with Nature champions to apply Engineering with Nature principles and nature-based solution alternatives. We specifically ask for the use of smaller equipment to reduce damage to the existing trees and parkway. The project is already behind schedule, so let's take advantage of the extra time to get a win-win-win. Erosion control plus flood protection and a wild and scenic American River Parkway. Thank you. My name again, Pete Spalding, on behalf of American River Trees, and I hope you all have a wonderful and safe holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind remarks about the holiday season. If you could leave that with us, because it was I couldn't write down all of your comments quickly. Okay, you sent it to staff. That's great. Ms. Nistrom, good morning.
Thank you, President Dolan and all members of the board. This is my opinion as a local citizen, and if I've misstated, feel free to call me. Let me know how to correct. The Water Resources and Recovery Development Act, WRDA of 2014, Vegetarian Management Policy directed the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to carry out a comprehensive review of USACE guidelines for management of vegetation on levees. The primary source of these guidelines was the information contained in an engineering technical letter. These guidelines for landscape planting and vegetation management were written in April 2014. They expired in 2019 and was issued again as an engineering pamphlet due to expire in 2024. Now in 2024, 10 years later, the best practices for vegetation management on levees was released for public review and comment this spring. It has not yet been approved or adopted by the Corps. This means the practices in place pre-2014 are still in place, as is the American River Features Project, whose estimate of tree removal from Watt to the Mayhew Drain to be over 600 trees. How can we effect a change to this design? As written in the engineering pamphlet 1110-2-18, to further enhance environmental values, the local sponsor may request a variance from the standard vegetation guidelines set forth in the engineer's pamphlet. Two criteria must be met. It must be shown to be necessary and the only feasible means to 1, preserve, protect, and enhance natural resources, and 2, to protect the rights of Native Americans. The second criteria is with regard to flood damage reduction systems, the variance must retain safety, structural integrity and functionality, and accessibility for maintenance, inspection, monitoring, and flood fighting. That is what we've been asking for, is protection without devastation. As our non-federal sponsor and approving authority for CEQA, please review the final plan and consider requiring a variance before you offer your approval. We appreciate your effort on all of this. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you. Comments are noted. Is there anyone else? I have no other cards. Are there any hands up? This is the public comment. You can say what you wish, or you can wait for what's on the agenda. No hands up? Anyone here in the audience? Hmm? Mr. Countryman, are you letting us know you're online? Or are you really going to make a public comment?
Yes, I am. I'm getting.
You
ready.
are? You're going to make a
Yes.
public comment?
No public comment, just letting you know I'm here.
Okay, glad to hear that. All right, we're going to take like a one.
Make sure I look young and fit.
What I usually do is say, hey, will you take a picture for me? They would have already had it all. Oh. My kids, yeah, my kids like.
I'm back. I just took a little liberty there with a small break because I just been so proud of the people here in the audience. All right. So I'm turning the meeting at this point over to our executive officer, Chris Leaf. He's going to coordinate and manage this event.
All right,
Good
good
morning.
morning. Thank you, President Dolan, board members. I am Chris Leaf, your executive officer.
We are privileged to have you.
Oh, I have to point this way tonight. There we go. In our workshop today, you will hear from staff from throughout the organization about their major accomplishments and activities over the last year and some goals for the year to come. We'll start with some opening remarks and then hear from each program area. And I'll come back at the end with some look aheads and concluding remarks. We have 98 slides to go through. And the presentation should
I
run
think he said
approximately
98.
98, 98.
Well,
Last year we had 100, so we're becoming more efficient.
Well, what we do is important and robust.
Yes. We think the presentation will run about an hour and a half, but just to be forewarned, there's not a lot of time for questions, but each of the program areas will come throughout the year where you can ask more in-depth questions about what their activities are. This way. Aha. I'll make my opening remarks brief. As I was thinking about what I wanted to convey today, two thoughts kept coming to my mind: gratitude and resilience. As the quotes on the screen, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. So I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude. First, I'm grateful for this board. Each of you bring your knowledge, experience, wisdom, and enthusiasm to the work of the board to advance our efforts to reduce flood risk in the Central Valley. I value your guidance and encouragement, as well as your engagement in solving the problems we face. Thank you. Next, I am grateful for board staff. This small group of people are incredibly capable, resilient problem solvers. Despite constrained resources, they have equaled or exceeded outputs from prior years this past year. Behind the scenes, they are identifying issues and putting in the work to make processes better in myriad ways, better tracking our finances, improving recruitment efforts, developing proposals for modified regulations, identifying how to best deploy the resources that we have, while we develop ideas on how we can secure more. Thank you all. I'm also grateful for our partners who challenge us to do better, to move faster, and to be clearer in our communications. Thank you. I'm grateful to our federal, state, and local partners we work with to plan and implement projects that make the Central Valley safer from the threat of catastrophic floods. Together, we work through problems, be they legal, technical, logistical, whatever. Thank you. Our gratitude for what we have gives us resilience. As I've said before, we do not have the resources to accomplish the entirety of our mission, and we face the challenge of those resources becoming even more constrained as we move forward. We must focus on what we can do with what we have, rather than what we wish we could do but want for more. We are and must continue to be resilient as we face these challenges while planting seeds for future growth. The work we do to reduce flood risk in the Central Valley is important and meaningful. We must be resilient as we look to improve our flood protection system to be more resilient to the changing climate. Like tiny seeds with potent power to push through tough ground and become mighty trees, we hold innate reserves of unimaginable strength. We are resilient. Yes, we are a small group, but our small size is also a strength as we can be more flexible, more resilient. Thank you. And with that, I will turn this over to Catherine and her team to discuss accomplishments in the administrative division. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. That was well said. Maybe that small seed becoming a mighty oak needs to be amended onto our seal.
Good morning,
Good morning, ma'am.
President Dolan and members of the board. Let's see here. Okay. There we go. I'm Catherine Baines. I am the manager of the administrative services. And I'm here today to announce a couple things, and then I'll turn it over to our experts for budget, contract, and human resource updates. So the first thing is that our annual appraisal and developments are due by the end of this month, which is a huge undertaking. But we will be in compliance and we will have that wrapped up by December 31st. And then a little more exciting, we have our annual recognition awards today. So that will happen at the luncheon. So we're excited about that. And then now I'm just going to introduce Sandy Chow, who is our budget manager. She's going to give you an overview of the budget and contract updates. And then after that, Amber Wartink will update you on human resources.
Ms. Chow, good morning. Nice
Good
to
morning.
see you.
Hello, President Dolan and members of the board. My name is Sandy Chow, and I'm here today to present the budgets and contracts. So for budgeting for general year, previous fiscal year 23-24, we have an operating budget of approximately 14.2 million. The total expenditures and commitments is approximately 13.8 million, which includes manual reservations in the amount of approximately $2 million. For current fiscal year 24-25, the operating budget is approximately 13.6 million. The total expenditures and commitments through October is approximately 3.7 million. The remaining funds for this fiscal year is approximately 9.8 million. And we're working on budget process improvements by comprehensive reporting for projections and forecasting. For contracting updates for fiscal year 23-24, We have 11 active contracts. Two of them as service and administrative contracts, which includes J&K Reporting and Thomson Reuters. We have 5 external contracts, which is on 5 different task orders to support operational needs. We have 4 interagency agreements. They are Safeguard Reimbursable Contract, State Lands Commission, City of Sacramento, the SSJDD Abatement Program, and the MMBI Reimbursable Contract. For upcoming contracts for current fiscal years, we have the SSJDD outreach and cleanup efforts with local agencies. And we have a master service agreement that's currently underway there for architectural and engineering. And we're working on renewing and update the State Lands Commission technical contract. That's all the updates I have. And next up, we have Amber Woodtake, who will be presenting human resources.
Thank you.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Amber Wartink, and I'm an administrative manager for the board. Good to
Good
see
morning.
everyone. Slide, please. Well, over the past year, unfortunately, my eyesight has been impacted. So next year, while I'm standing here, I'm sure I will be in glasses. Short presentation on our workforce and recruitment efforts for the last year. Our total number of positions at the beginning of the year mirrors what we had last year, and that was 51 permanent full-time positions. We remain at 51 permanent full-time positions now at the end of the year here in December. We have, of course, I'm not going to go through all of these classifications for you folks. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer those offline. But as you can see, the bulk of our positions are technical in nature, mostly engineering and environmental. We do have one new position listed there. That's our Deputy Executive Officer position. But again, that's not an additional position. That was achieved through a reclassification effort. Recruitments this year were impacted. Every year since the pandemic, we have seen a continual impact to the way our recruitments are the success of our recruitments, I should say. We've held 19 separate recruitment efforts. And out of those, we finalized 10 hires. What that means is that we had a lot of re-advertisements, sometimes as many as 3, working on 4 re-advertisements for the same position. We're finding that eligible candidates are finding that they have other options, or they come to us in they're doing us a favor kind of a position. So we talked about limited resources over the last year, and what we're hoping to do over the next year is look at ways that we can more efficiently use our resources to kind of spread out our advertisements. I'm going to be exploring ways that we can advertise our recruitments in different ways than what the state typically does to hopefully improve those numbers next year. Internally, I would like to celebrate our internal recruitments that have ended in promotions. A couple of those that we have listed here. Of course, our Zubair Dosu was promoted from engineer water
You said
resources to
You need to stand.
senior engineer water resources. Congratulations. And he's managing our deferred encroachment compliance section, a new section that we have. Our Andrea Buckley was promoted from environmental program manager 1 to our deputy executive officer. Very proud of our people and their achievements. And our very own Jamie Silva was promoted from senior environmental scientist to environmental program manager to backfill behind Andrea. We continue to have really wonderful staff, and we're very proud of their achievements.
It's not that I don't know who you are when I do that, but I just think want to see the whole thing so we can give you the feedback.
That's all I have for you today, and I'm going to turn things over to Michael Wright.
Thank you, Amber. Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board, Michael Wright, Chief Engineer. I also serve as the manager of our engineering division.
Good morning.
Morning. So I wanted to introduce the 2 branches within our engineering division. Our operations branch, managed by Eagle Leong. They mainly focus, among other things, on permitting, enforcement, and inspection of encroachments throughout the state plan of flood control in the Central Valley. And we also have our flood system improvement branch managed by Greg Harvey. They focus on Section 408 system improvement projects, core board sponsored studies and projects, storm damage repairs, in coordination with DWR and the Corps' Public Law 8499 Rehabilitation Program, and also Corps inspections. The graphic on the left, most of you have probably seen it. It was included in the 2022 Central Valley Flood Protection Plan update. It's our flood management programs wheel. There's arrows that indicate that are color coded to indicate which branch supports and works on those various programs. In the middle is public forum, one of the most important roles that the board plays in the Central Valley flood risk reduction community. Provides that public forum for the regulated community, for the public, as well as our flood risk reduction partners. There are 5 categories within that wheel. You can see them up on the wheel. And really, that's all I have to give a presentation on. I would like, before I hand it over, to just thank the staff in the engineering division for all the work they've done this year. As you've heard, we've been through some turnovers, some vacancies, and yet they keep the ball rolling and keep the work going. But we couldn't do that work and be successful without the support of our administrative branch as well as our environmental services branch. So really want to thank them for their support and their help over the year, getting us to where we need to be. So with that, if there's no questions for me, I would like to introduce our first speaker of the engineering division, Igor Liang.
We were asked by our executive officer not to do questions, but save information, so there will be no questions at this point. Or
All right.
we'll be here till sunset. It's sort of like, I remember when we did the wheel, because someone was saying, what do you do? So I share this at home, so they're feeling sorry for me. But I say, don't feel sorry for me. The staff gets to do it. I just get to say thank you. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good morning.
Good morning, President Dolan and members of the board. I'm Igor Liang. I'm the manager of the operations branch. So in the next 20 or 25 minutes or so, along with our section managers, we will be providing you some highlights of the branches programs and activities accomplishments in the last year. But before I do that, I really want to take this opportunity to thank you all my branch members, managers, and staff for their hard work in the last year. And also thanks for all the other units of the board for the strong support for the board guidance and all the comments we received from you to help improve our work. This is kind of an overview of the branch, showing the branch, the section managers, the programs, the staff members, and also some of the stats accomplishments for the programs. And the section managers will provide you more detail of their respective programs, but I just have a few highlights. First, look the column, staff column. You see a lot of staff turnovers in the last year. Everywhere you see names joined by slash sign that shows a turnover for the position. And green is for the former staff, and blue for current or sometimes vacancy. So we still have 2 vacancies to fill. The permitting program has been impacted the most by staff turnover, resulting in like nearly 40% of staff capacity reduction in the last year. That is up from the previous year, which had almost 30% staff reduction due to staff turnover. Also, I wanted to mention we welcomed a couple of staff, Teresa Stern and Vanessa Najara from Administrative Division to support our operations. So they are a great addition to us, and we are really appreciative about this. They join us. Lastly, I want to mention that we made a lot of progress in the database record update effort and also the inspection part. Thanks for additional staff. We had 2 additional youth aides, AB and Julian, join us. And also for the inspection team, we got pretty stable staff over the year. While we continue working on our operational, routine operational, we continue to also working to improve our efficiency. Here is a list of the programs, activities that our staff member, either they take the lead or the key contributor on those things. The permit application portal and also web-based database, which is update from desk-based database. They are pretty much done, particularly for the web-based database. They are that is already completed. The PAP, there's a module for permit application submission module is almost done. We're working on the tracking module now. We almost finished our A&E contract, architecture and engineering contract. We expect to have that contract in place by this year, by the end of this year. We're exploring options to update our enforcement procedures through updating water code, and also we're continue to looking for ways to improve our work process and streamline our process by updating our rulemaking and also fee. The next item is our staff contributed a lot for the new section establishment and transition to the flood system improvement branch. Another improvement is application check process. In the last year, we successfully processed 334 checks, meeting all the state's requirements and in time. Lastly, I want to mention with strong support from our Sacramento levy sections staff, we continue to make progress for minimize applications. We finished issued all the permits that we received for this effort. Looking in the next year, we expect to start deploying and implementing the PAP in early this year. Shooting for February time, and we will focus on the permit backlog reduction. There are many factors could affect the backlog. Staff capacity is one of them, and another it could be kind of a lack of specialty. So we'll look for ways to improve our efficiency as well, and also take advantage of the A&G contract we have. We're going to expand our capacity by tapping consultant to help that reduction effort. We'll continue to work on the enforcement through water code update and also regulation rulemaking. We mentioned a lot about staff capacity and specialties. This has been known, but we're going to continue to explore options, including budget change proposal and staff training, cross-training, and also staff retention. So with that, I want to hand over the time to the next speaker, our section manager, Steve Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Hugo. Steve Lamb, Central Valley Flood Protection Board Permitting Section Manager. Nice to see you all. Sure, I've been up here a few times. So I'm Steve Lamb. I'm the manager of the branch or the section, and I like to coin myself as a servant leader. I am absolutely zero without the group that stands behind me, beneath me, and beside me. This team is dedicated group of individuals that fields very difficult questions and challenges from the public, and I can't thank them enough for their hard work, plus the leadership and guidance I have from the administrative side, as well as Mike and Chris and the rest of the team. So thank you. All hats go off to you guys, you folks. So I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Vanessa Najera. She's come to us as a permit analyst. She has a background in doing this for a living, so she fits right in to our permit intake. Teresa held that position in the interim while we were looking for Vanessa. Also an exquisite job, so we've got a real good background for permit intake. And then we have some tremendous workhorses, Humberto, Diana, Jillian, and Selena. These folks just are tireless. They understand that we're underneath a mountain of permits, a mountain of challenges, and they endeavor each one individually. I stress quality over quantity. You know, there's always going to be there. We're the regulated community, so we have to do this right for our group. So we also have the one vacancy we're looking to fill. We have the opportunity to have an individual slated that may start January 1st, fingers crossed, right around there. So we're looking to fill that. And then unfortunately, as it was announced, we will be having to backfill for Jillian's replacement.
Thank you for including everyone's photo.
I think I need your help, Jonah. Thank you. So some of the permitting metrics that I'd like to go over is throughout the year, we've had 141 applications assigned. 54 of those were permitted as EO delegation. 27 of those were permitted either via consent with the board or hearing items. As we saw this, Humberto and Selena have both endeavored through a lot of those hearing items to the board. We've had 81 permits approved and an additional 50 authorization letters completed. So I was looking and reflecting on these metrics, and as Igor pointed out, with the staffing challenges we've had, we're still on par for the other former years. So our team is finding efficiencies, they're working diligently, and I can't wait to see what we can do with more. Oh, I think we're helping each other, Jonah. All right. Thank you. So these are some of the permitting section accomplishments. During the course of the year, we conducted 69 pre-application meetings for prospective applicants. We're finding that these are very, very helpful to the public to give them a peace of mind that we're accessible, that we're willing to work with them through the challenges and the opportunities that come with these projects. We've also continued to take on 87 permit coordination meetings. So those meetings are ones that either come during the permit application review, or there's challenges that are the public's having in interpreting what we need to get these approved. So we're always there trying to lend a hand, trying to help the public show that we are available. We're there to help through the process. Additionally, we do monthly coordination meetings with some of our, I call them high flyers, and industry partners. So the Corps of Engineers and the board, our relationship is nothing short of having a partnership. I was on the phone with them before I came into the meeting. I really enjoy the ability to talk through challenges with them, to work on solutions with the same moniker that we have to get stuff done. Caltrans District 3 and District 6 also have monthly meetings with the permitting section, which allows us to get on board with projects that they see coming and set the gears in motion and have the appropriate documentation to allow those important transportation projects to continue. Additionally, Pacific Gas and Electric is one of our probably highest applicants. They house a litany of electrical distribution and gas distribution and transmission lines throughout California, and they traverse our creek, streams, and designated floodways. So we have a great working relationship with them, and as well as our partners at DWR. They do excellent work in helping keep our regulated floodways and our levees up to snuff and in maintenance shape. Some of the process improvements, as Igor pointed out, is the permit application portal. We're really excited to get that on board. We're going to begin soft testing in Q1, select few applicants. Again, maybe some of the higher flyers to really stress test it and have a controlled environment to see if there's additional improvements. Anytime we're taking on this, I'm scared, I'm nervous, but I'm sure it's going to work fine. So we want to do it in a sort of controlled environment to make sure that before we really light it up to the public, to limit our resources. You know, the goal of this is to become more efficient, and we don't want to put something out there that causes more harm than good. Next is our database improvements, which is going to be pivotal as we promote toward potentially using consultants to assist us through permitting. Next is the Title 22 rulemaking and fee updates, which we're making great headway on. And then again, as Eagle pointed out, the coordination with the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative and the remaining family, Sacramento Levy Group, Selvas Group, as well as Analyst and Preston. We all work really as a great team. And I couldn't stress any more of how much I enjoy working with this group. I think that's my last one. So with that, I'll hand it over to Analyst.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Well done.
Good morning,
morning,
President
Ms.
Dolan, members of the board. Angeles Calizo, I manage the enforcement section for the board. With this first slide, I'd like to introduce the section members. We have currently the section is comprised of 4 full-time water resources engineers. We do have currently 1 vacancy that we are in the works of backfilling for, and remain hopeful that we will be able to fill that in earlier in 2025. The current staff members are David Ismayan, Jenny Tu, Ian Giocaris, and we are also supported by Mr. Peter Thyberg, who is with the Office of General Counsel at the Department of Water Resources. So we're very thankful for his support. Jenny too, in early 2023, Jenny became the PLA 499 program manager. She stepped in during a critical time and that required organization, critical timely response and coordination with our local and state partners. And this was in result to the 2023 storm damages. Jenny was also critical in facilitating and helping the transition of that program to the newly deferred encouragement compliance section. So thank you, Jenny, and to the whole team. I also didn't have them here, but I will mention them briefly. Mr. Liang covered them, but this year we also made the formal change to have Abby Montan, Julian, and Elena, who are the students and youth aides that are helping on the database records updates that I'll be covering in a little bit later in the presentation. So with this, this section is responsible for carrying out the sections, the board's authority that are granted under the California Water Code, taking enforcement action to address non-compliant issues throughout the system. The enforcement process is designated to increase the level of enforcement until compliance is reached, with always the goal of achieving compliance at the lowest level possible. So as you can see there from the section metrics that are presented there before you, this section remained relatively productive compared to previous years. This section has continued to take a very comprehensive role, processing permitting actions and also overseeing the construction oversight for many of those repairs. This helps streamline it, but also facilitates and helps quickly resolve some of the outstanding enforcement cases that are lingering. One thing that is left out from this screen that I did want to make mention is earlier this year, the board did adopt an enforcement order that came before you, and that was for an enforcement case out in Puda Creek that resulted in the adoption of a stipulated settlement agreement that also included $25,000 in penalties. So that was a big achievement, and Jenny led that enforcement case. So this is just a quick slide just showing some of the types of enforcement actions that the team has been involved with this year. For the majority of this, they have been resolved. There's some that are still lingering, but we're hopeful that we will get those resolved and bring them to a conclusion here fairly soon. The pipe prioritization program is a program that began late in 2019, and it has been a priority for this section, recognizing the pipes through the levees pose one of the highest risk. This program establishes a prioritization criteria strategy that is using existing data that is already available, and it essentially factors in several factors that include the integrity of the pipe, the height, the configuration, and other details. We currently have just over 400 pipes that are in the program, so it is quite a bit of pipes in the system. This number is fluid. I do want to mention that the number is sort of ever changing, as you can see, compared to the previous year. This is based because, again, pipes condition deteriorates and changes over time. So as a new inspection is conducted, the condition of the pipe will yield a new inspection rating, so bring it into the program. However, the section continues to work. A good chunk of the pipes are under the current enforcement action, and staff is working to resolve those issues at the moment. So 5 have been resolved so far this year. 5 cases were closed, so those are separate. So when I say resolve, meaning the issues has been corrected. The enforcement case closed means that the matter has been fully resolved, but also we have all the appropriate documentation on file, and we have essentially closed out the file. So those are 2 separate actions. So I mentioned it earlier, the other effort that has been undertaken by the operations, but also primarily now under the enforcement section with my management and overseeing the student aides that are helping out with this effort. So the updates to the permitting database and records. This began back in 2019. And since then, we began a systematic effort to update the records, pulling the files from the archives, but scanning them, digitizing them, and populating fields into the database. This is a critical effort that is going to help augment the current efforts that were highlighted by Mr. Liang earlier about the database updates and deployment. So making us much more efficient, but also allowing more use of our current databases and accurate reporting for you. So I want to give a big thanks to everybody who's contributed to this effort, particularly to the students that are helping with this, but also to operations branch that over the years has also contributed to the progress.
Ms. Kalisko,
Yes.
are the student aides here?
We have one present, actually, Miss Abby
Okay,
Munty.
you
And
get to
she's
stand up for everybody. Wow, thank you.
Thank you, President Dolan.
And for staff to manage that, you took me back a little bit, maybe 20 years.
Thank you. Well, lastly, I'll just wrap up my portion of it, but key accomplishment for the section this year, again, as Mr. Liang mentioned, is we're looking at exploring ways to streamline our existing enforcement process to make it much more efficient, continuing progress on existing enforcement cases, continue the progress on the database and the permitting the records updates, and also bringing the resolution of the enforcement cases, particularly the enforcement order that was brought by the board this year. That was a big accomplishment with a stipulated penalty. And then I want to close out with expressing my sincere gratitude to all the board staff that's contributed to every one of the programs, but all the efforts that I've noted here below. And then particularly for my team for their unwavering dedication to the board's mission. And so with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Schauble for his presentation.
Thank you very much. I'm so taken by you all thanking your staff. It's very moving, the teamwork that you have. Good morning.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. It's good to see you all this morning, and thanks for hanging with us. There's a lot of good work done by all the groups here, and just wanted to take a few minutes to recognize our inspection section team and let you know what our group is up to today. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, great. So starting with our team, we have 3 core inspectors at the board. That team is also supplemented a little bit by the Department of Water Resources, Flood Projects Inspection staff, and a small amount of consultant assistance in certain areas. But back to the core staff here. So Zach Ramsey has celebrated his 5th year with the board this year. He started before he had his PE, and he's gotten his PE since joining the board, and is a great veteran for our group. We have Josh Kaup, who just finished his 1st year with the board and is doing very well. And Ryan McGeehee, who just joined us this April and hit the ground running for the construction season. So not much downtime for our inspectors. So on to our metrics for our group. You're seeing this map is getting to be a common theme of where we're doing work and where work is happening and where we're paying attention. So construction inspections this year and other field inspection projects that were assigned, they stayed relatively in line with the previous years, and that kind of correlates with what's issued by the permitting section between their permits and work authorizations. Closeouts were a bit down this year due to a heavy construction season and other competing priorities. This number will most likely improve next year when there's less construction. And then on the flip side, our number of site visits increased over 60% this year due to a full staff for the majority of the year and sustaining their efforts to oversee many active projects that needed a lot of oversight. So the other big change for this year is the development of our routine inspections program. As promised last year, our section developed and launched this program, which was designed to verify that permitted encroachments are staying in compliance with the conditions of their permits. The aim is to be proactive and fix issues before they become emergencies, as well as providing needed documentation in support of U.S. Army Corps' PL 8499 program and their inspections. In 2024, we've sent over 20 notifications to permittees, collected the required fees, and have begun to inspect encroachments that are subject to routine inspections, in addition to actually developing the program or the procedures and program materials. So we're conducting a consistent program. All right, so our other activities. On the top line, some of this is overlapping from what Angeles and Steve were saying, because as they said before, we work really closely, but uniquely, we did respond to calls from DWR to help with post-fire recovery efforts at the Burrell and Park fires. Specifically, that was Ryan McGehee in September and October. He went to both. That picture in the top right, our trucks loaded up with best management practices, BMPs, to help with runoff from fire affected areas. So that was working with California Conservation Corps. We thank Ryan. I'll personally say he did a great job managing and making sure that he's communicating with us so that his day job kept going and that he was able to help with this. Next, we helped with the software developer for creating the permit application portal. As Igor had said, we're looking to launch in 2025. And then also we helped with launching, or will be launching in the next few weeks, the web-based encroachment permit database. So it's a much more efficient tool. It's familiar, but it's snappier, and it's going to be more helpful, I think, for everyone that processes permits, and that's a whole bunch of our staff. So we're looking forward to that. And then finally, or almost finally, we helped with the A&E contract development that Igor mentioned, and we're supporting with the rulemaking updates for the technical standards as well as the fee updates. So with that, I will turn it over to Greg Harvey in the other branch. Thank you.
Thank you. One of those devastating fires was in my county, so thanks for the work you did.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of
Haven't
the board. I thought I would bring my Christmas spirit again this year, so.
You have.
Let's see. So Greg Harvey, manager of the Flood System Improvement Branch, go over some highlights for our branch, and then I'll let Selva Mohan and Zubair talk about their sections. So yeah, Selva manages the Sacramento levee section, and then we just acquired not too long ago Zubair Dosu and his new deferred encroachment compliance section. And then we have Michael Zalazzo and Dustin Sinowski, who are our senior engineers, specialists for the branch. So here's a little org chart for you. Dustin and Mike are my direct reports, who are specialists, and we have Selva and Zubair, who manage the other two sections. So these are the operational programs in our branch. I'm going to highlight a few of those, especially the Army Corps Civil Works projects we work on as the non-federal sponsor, the Section 408 authorization projects that we issue permits for, and then our special projects. So these are just a few of the highlights. We've brought many projects to the in front of the board throughout this year. The Marysville Ring Levee, I have a construction photo of that coming up shortly. That's under construction, and we've completed a few of those. I know there was a little tour that Mary Jane and I think President Dolan went on a little while ago to see that.
I went on a mud walk.
A mud walk. And the Sac Bank protection project that's ongoing, along with the West Sacramento levee project. So here is a snapshot of the projects we work on consistently, and we broke them out into the permitting, construction, and closeout phases. And these are primarily headed up by Dustin and Mike. So we have a lot of ongoing projects in our branch. So I think you recognize quite a few of these. I'm not going to list them, but there's a lot. In the closeout, I have a few photos of the Smith Canal Gate project. I know President Dolan, you visited that ribbon cutting, and I have a few photos of that. So this is under our special projects. This is a federal grant that we actually have some really good news. We applied to that, and we just applied to that yesterday. So the final filing date for the notice of funding opportunity is Tuesday, but we just to make sure we got it in time, we submitted yesterday. So cheers to that. It's focusing on the Tuolumne and the Merced rivers, and it's a step forward for sure. So then a few branch highlights, the permits and briefings throughout the year, Lookout Slough and Yuba River North Training Levee. Some LMA reorganizations. Lower Elkhorn had 3 LMAs. We consolidated into one, and then RD 755 got absorbed by RD 551, and then Maintenance Area 3 got absorbed into Levee District 1 Sutter. And then, as you are aware, the MA20 formation process, that's we're making headway on that as well. Statement of necessary work was approved earlier in the year, and boundary description briefing was in October. And this photo is one that I happened to snap for the Lookout Slough levee breach there. So that was right after the water came in. A couple other branch highlights, Great Valley Grasslands Assurance Agreement, some other O&M transfers throughout the year, many time variance requests. We have, from calendar year from January through July in the San Joaquin, we issue time variance requests, so many of those. And then the excavator, that's some construction work in the Marysville Ring Levee project up north. And then the upper right and the lower is the Smith Canal projects. That's the Smith Canal in the bottom actually opening. And then President Dolan up there giving some remarks. And I think I added a couple more photos. So that's the couple aerial views and then President Dolan speaking. So with that, I would like to introduce Selva Mohan to talk about his section. Thank you.
Mr. Harvey, that was a remarkable summation of the massive amount of work you do. And congratulations on taking the challenge to get a grant. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Selva Mohan. I'm the section manager for the Sacramento levee section. I will highlight, a few of the accomplishments, the section had in this year. First, I wanted to introduce my staff, Karina Castro, engineer over there, and then Travis Comstock recently joined the section. We have a vacancy right now, and we are actively working on backfilling that position.
We already had you stand up, Mr. Concept. Now you can just wave.
So I just wanted to, take a moment to thank, these, wonderful staff, for their hard work. Thank you. The section, has been working on major flood risk reduction projects in the Sacramento region, namely American River Common Features 2016 project and Natomas Basin project, as well as the Folsom Dam Race project. The levee alignments and the improvements are shown on the map on the right side. Of the ARCF 2016 project, the seepage stability improvement component from Sacramento to Freeport is one component that was divided into multiple phases. and a few phases were completed construction, and the last phase is currently under design and construction. So staff worked, very closely with homeowners and project partners to make sure encroachments are removed so that the construction can move forward. The picture shows, few construction photos from 2024. The one in the upper left corner is in front of Westin Scott Seafood area. President Dolan and other board members took a tour early this year, and this is the completed, section after the levee improvement. Yes. Few more pictures of the jet crowd cutoff fall in the pocket area and in the downtown Sacramento area. Another component of the ARCF 2016 project is erosion control improvements along the Sacramento River East Levee. Three design contracts are near completion construction, and the last contract 3 will be going into construction in 26-27. Board staff worked extensively with the homeowners and design team to make sure board docks and other encroachments are addressed properly so that construction can move forward without any delays. Few construction photos from the erosion construction. You can see from the left side in a photo, most of the construction took place from a barge from the river. So that was the way of construction. Next one. There we go. Thank you. Few more pictures from the completed construction sites. A lot of reprep work, was completed under 3 contracts. Every time. There we go. Another major, flood risk reduction project, as I said earlier, is the Natomas Basin project. Levee improvements, surrounding the Natomas Basin being, designed or constructed. Few reaches were completed construction, and few are under design and construction. And as you can see, overall, the major project construction is estimated to be completed in 2027. Quite a lot of utility relocation effort are underway to relocate the utilities, away from the levee area to make sure the construction can advance. And staff have been working closely with the project team in permitting those relocated utilities and coordinating with the project team on that. Here's a summary of SLS activity matrix. We do the 3 operational elements: permitting, enforcement, and inspection in support of the civil works project. We have issued a total of 27 permits and then issued a work authorization of 7, and we are processing multiple permits. Under enforcement program in support of the civil works project, we have issued notification letters, notice to comply, notice of violation, cease and desist orders, and compliance letters in completing those enforcement programs. We also did inspection to make sure encroachments are removed prior to civil works begin, and then the utility relocation permits, enforcement inspection program to make sure utilities are relocated per the permit conditions. In addition to that, we do operation and maintenance responsibility transfers of the completed section to City of Sacramento, Maintenance Area 9, and American River Flood Control District. A few pictures of the resolved enforcement activities in the big pocket and small pocket area. Another effort that section undertook is helping with the middle mile broadband initiative permit processing. As Ego pointed out earlier, we have processed 100% of all the received applications to date, and impacted bridges and culvert applications were also completed processing except one application. We are anticipating receiving new applications next year, and we'll process those as we get. Next, I will give it to Subiados.
Thank you, Selva. Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Zubair Dosu, manager of the Deferred Encroachment Compliance section.
Morning.
And today I'll be going over our section's accomplishments for the year. And starting with the team, our section is a newly established section since May of this year, and it consists of 2 water resource engineers who both started in September of this year. So our team is, of course, led by the manager, myself, and to the right of me is Jeremiah Peak, who leads our core inspection program. And as to the far right, we have Richard Brutsky, who leads the SWIFT and PL 8499 program. So very excited to have them both on our team, and excited to see their growth and development here at the board. So very fortunate to have them here on the team. They seem to pick up very fast. I also would like to extend appreciation to the enforcement section, because many of the accomplishments that we will go over today in my presentation were well in the works before our section was established. So I do want to acknowledge that as well. One accomplishment in itself too is the drafting of the 525 duty statement and all the recruitment efforts to build the team. And yes, we'll move on to the PL 8499 eligibility metrics for this year. Our section works closely with our LMA partners to encourage participation in the program, as well as working to process the LOI SWIFTs to continue eligibility in the program. So I will bring your attention to the table, the inactive system. There's been a slight reductions in levy system, levy miles and population. That is due to the portion of lower San Joaquin levies that have been removed from the count because they are no longer considered federal levies because they did not have congressional authorization. So with that being said, the summary, we have 1 new levy system that is now active in the PL 8499 program, and 2 levy systems that are on their way to becoming active in the program with a draft LOI. So this next image here is a spatial representation of the PL 8499 eligibility. I know there's a lot of detail, but if you focus on the color, the green shaded areas are the levy systems that are active in the program, and the red shaded areas are the levy systems that are inactive in the program. And as you can see, there are very few red shaded areas remaining. The pink shaded areas are the systems with draft LOIs that intend to become active in the program. So going over a summary of the repairs that occurred from PL 8499 this year, we had 2 sites re-repaired from the 2017 storm event. From the 2019 storm event, we had 4 sites repaired as of this year. And from last year's storm event, in combination with the Sacramento Basin and the San Joaquin Delta Basin, there was a total of 24 sites repaired and completed this year. 3 remaining sites will be repaired next year. There were a couple of sites for appeal in the Sacramento Basin, the Sacramento River Westside Levee District, as well as the San Joaquin Basin. We have 4 sites for appeal in RD 2064. Currently, staff is working with the Corps to provide additional documentation to justify those appeals. Going forward for next year's efforts, we'll be working with the Corps' team to document those repairs in O&M and as-built. Looking at the LOI SWIFT metrics, we have 5 levy systems that were finalized and approved by the Corps' headquarters this year. Those SWIFTs, those are the 5 SWIFTs that you see in blue in the image there, as well as 1 LOI that was approved that one LOI is the levee system in San Joaquin County. And then in addition, we do have 3 draft LOIs in queue waiting approval. Our team works closely with the Corps to provide support for the Corps' inspections. One of the ways we do that is in providing support and record information, as well as providing LMA comments, and also making the LMAs aware that the inspections are occurring. All of this helps to facilitate the Corps' inspection. For a summary of highlights for inspections for this year, 10 of the Corps' inspection reports were finalized and presented at public board meetings for 15 levee systems covering over 67 miles of federal levees. 6 of those reports were presented under the deck section, and our team also participated in 5 of those USIP inspections. I see there's a typo there. That was because Jeremiah actually did attend a USIP inspection yesterday, and so that's why that number was changed to 5. With that being said, that concludes my presentation. I will hand it off to Andrea.
Again, remarkable summary for a boatload of work. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. I'm Andrea Buckley, your Deputy Executive Officer, Manager of the Natural Resources Management and Planning Division. And before I introduce your next speakers, Jamie Silver, Manager of the Environmental Services and Land Management Branch, and Christine Van Syke, representing Flood Planning and Programs, I wanted to highlight some of the organizational and personnel changes we've experienced in 2024. So this is the current configuration of the board's division of environmental, land management, and our flood planning efforts. With my appointment as Deputy Executive Officer, we realigned the long-range planning with our regulatory functions, and we've already seen some efficiencies with this inclusion. This means the team you see on this slide wear many hats and perform multidisciplinary functions, including technical assistance on engineering, land management, land acquisition, environmental compliance, and external communication and engagement at all levels to maintain strong partnerships with our federal, state, and local partners. As you can see from this slide, we have quite a few vacancies, but this small and mighty team continues to impress me so much with their positive attitude and willingness to want to help and to learn. As you'll hear more in the next presentation, this year, more than ever, we've advanced the board's role and responsibilities related to open communication and engagement with California Native American tribal governments within the Central Valley. We have defined and documented permitting processes to provide consistency and continuity in the face of staff turnover and reduced resources. We have assisted in advancing federal interest in the Central Valley flood resiliency efforts. And this team is dedicated to problem solving and pitching in. And I'm so thankful that they're always thinking ahead. And I thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve the board. And with that, I turn it over to Jamie Silva, your new Environmental Land Management Manager, and as of Monday, the newest water leader of Water Education Forum. So, Jamie?
Thank you. Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Jamie Silva. I am the branch manager that oversees the Environmental Land Management branch here at the board. So the branch is comprised of 2 sections. It's the Environmental Services section and the Land Management section. Our Environmental Services section is comprised by 3 wonderful and dedicated senior environmental scientists, currently staffed up by Jen Callis, Angela Winton, and Jordan Robbins, who also serves as our tribal liaison. Like Andrew was saying, we currently have a couple of vacancies. In environmental services, we have 1 vacancy, which is my backfill for the senior environmental scientist. And in the land management section, we currently have a vacancy for the staff service managers, a specialist position, which was reclassed from our previous right-of-way vacancy. And I'd like to say also our land management section currently is staffed by one senior right-of-way agent that currently sits at DWR's real estate branch. So the environmental services section completed a total of 185 CEQA actions so far this year for encroachment permits and work authorizations. Of the 161 encroachment permits, our staff assisted with 80 permits issued by the Flood System Improvement Branch and 81, permits issued with the Operations Branch. In addition, 24 work authorization requests were processed. The environmental review of work authorizations was an entirely new process, which nearly doubled staff workload. The team helped create a standard operating procedure with our board permitting partners to formalize and streamline the reviews. So you see on this slide, the staff has completed a total of 61 CEQA actions this year for non-permit projects, which included special projects, CEQA comment letters, addendums, planning and design investigations, SWIFT letter of intents, enforcement actions, as well as administrative actions. This year, board staff reviewed and the board's executive officer approved a total of 5 addendums to previously certified environmental impact reports. These included the American River Contract 3A for an extension of construction timeline, Folsom Dam raise for full closure of Park Road at Dike 1 for expedited construction, the Sacramento River East Levee Contract 4 for extension of construction timeline, Marysville Ring Levee Phase 2B and 3, and Phases 2B and 3 utility relocation for the extension of construction timeline and amending borrow site locations, as well as the Sacramento River Erosion Contract 1 for River Mile 55.2 left bank protection for a slump repair. In addition, staff reviewed and our EO approved a soil survey which will inform the design of the Lower San Joaquin River Reach TS30L levee improvement project. So the board's tribal liaison, currently filled by Jordan Robin, facilitates the board's coordination between California Native American tribes, Army Corps of Engineers, the Department of Water Resources, and permit applicants on several efforts, including the Yolo Bypass Cashew Partnership, tribal requests received during Army Corps' consultation under Section 106, and the planning of several repatriation and reinternment efforts. This year alone, the liaison coordinated over 104 tribal requests from 6 federally recognized tribes. The board's liaison participates in California Natural Resources events and meetings to provide updates to tribes on board's projects located in the Bay Delta, to develop and review policies and templates for tribal access and co-management opportunities, and receive updates on upcoming tribal events and policies. So in an effort to address our 2023 goals of exploring and refining policies related to mitigation banking within the floodway, board staff participated in program-level discussions in the Army Corps' Section 404 Mitigation Banking Interagency Review Team, presented at California Ecological Restoration Business Association's annual meeting, and attended the Banking Agency Management Team public meeting. We hope to coordinate more with our regulatory partners to seek permitting pathways and resolution between flowage and conservation easements. This slide provides you with a look ahead of what we are for the upcoming 2025 calendar year for environmental services section. We expect several addendums to supplemental EIRs over the course of this next year. During the upcoming year, addendums to extend the construction seasons for the Sacramento River Erosion Contract 5, the Sacramento River East Levee Contract 4, and the Lower American River Erosion Contract 3A projects are expected. Board staff will continue to seek out streamlining and optimization opportunities to update our regulatory authority under Title 23 with restoration and multi-benefit projects in mind. Also, with the pending launch of the permit application portal, staff will continue to provide input and review to refine the current database to reflect the needs of the environmental review. Lastly, the board is committed to consult with the California Native American tribes in the development of the Yolo Bypass Cashew Partnership documents, continue to facilitate Section 106 requests, and further coordinate on repatriations. So the Sacramento-San Joaquin Drainage District, or SSJDD, Land Management Section, is responsible for the management and control of the land and properties owned by SSJDD per Water Code 8502. Currently, SSJDD holds 24,700 acres in fee title, 14,200 acres in joint use agreements such as highways and county roads, and 205,000 acres in easements. And easement types may include operation and maintenance for levees, for flowage rights, vegetation clearing, and ground disturbance if needed. You'll see on this slide is an overview of our active lease types and the revenue they have generated this year. In 2024, active leases generated a revenue of roughly $519,834. The Department of Water Resources collects the lease and royalty revenues on behalf of the board and deposits those revenues into the general fund as required by current statutes. I'm sorry?
Sorry. It just seems to me if we're collecting that money, it should be in our budget, but I don't think that I have agreement with that big staff under the dome.
So over the past several years, there's been increased activity of encampments, illegal dumping, and hazardous materials left on SSJDD property by the unhoused population. As part of the board's responsibility to ensure proper flood maintenance over the property, board staff continues to expand the abatement program, which creates a reimbursable mechanism in which the board executes a contract with local government agencies such as cities and counties to address these types of issues. So looking forward to 2025, board staff has identified some key goals that the section would like to address. The CDFW master lease contract will expire in 2027. So board staff is coordinating with CDFW to provide an updated list of all SSJDD properties in hopes of finding new lease opportunities for CDFW wildlife areas. Board staff will continue to engage with our regulatory partners to investigate pathways how to approve and permit mitigation banks in the floodway. Board staff is currently working with the State Lands Commission to renew an interagency contract for their technical services to inspect oil and gas wells on SSJDD property. This will hopefully be executed in the first quarter of 2025. Board staff will continue to perform outreach and engage local cities and counties in hopes to expand the abatement program. And with that, I will pass the presentation over to Christine Van Slyke.
It's
Hello.
just
Good
a
morning.
series of wows and again, so good morning.
President Dolan, members of the board. I'm proud to be here. I reflect Chris's comments. I'm proud to work with such a great group of people, a great board, amazing coworkers and colleagues here. So very proud to be your program manager for the flood planning and programs branch. We did have the opportunity to provide a pretty thorough overview of our programs activities at the October 11th workshop. So here I can just reiterate that our priority for the board is to continue to support the purpose and our efforts for communication engagement that have built up thus far and all the hard work that's been done in order to create the flood planning and programs branch, and also the realignment of resources and the focused effort that we can see going forward with our new guidance and our new division of resources. We really look at the way we're going to work forward with our planning efforts and work together to achieve those goals for the board looking forward. So the flood planning and programs activities for the board include supporting several of our primary planning activities for the region, but at the heart of our branch really is communication and engagement. Our key efforts include development and support for the Yolo Bypass Cashew Master Plan, for the Federal Comprehensive Study, and those important alignment efforts that we have, continued relationships building, and the development of those planning and those opportunities to improve flood efforts in the Central Valley for those that live and work in the valley that we are here to represent and protect. The Yolo Bypass Comprehensive Study is a large federal study in the area. We're going to talk to you a lot about that in the upcoming years, but that is our opportunity to align federal resources and provide work as the non-federal sponsor with our partners, Department of Water Resources and SAFCA, to look forward to an opportunity to truly examine the opportunity in the region for flood protection, and that opportunity for future federal investment and alignment with federal, state, and local partnerships. Their timeline is represented here on the screen. It is a long planning process, but there has been a considerable increase in the cost and the timeline estimate. It's important to note that the Office of the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works approved a proposed cost and schedule for what they're calling a mega study of $13.9 million for a 5.5 study period. The Central Valley Flood Protection Board is committed to this effort, and I represent the staff that are helping to lead this engagement opportunity and this opportunity to work in this very, very important effort aligned with our federal and state partners. The Yolo Bypass Cashew Partnership is also a priority for the board, and we continue to stay committed to those prioritized objectives in the Yolo Bypass and Cashew region. These important challenges and work opportunities require a collaborative approach for which the board serves in several capacities as leaders, and we hope to continue to improve and expand on those relationship opportunities that we've created to explore funding and implementation and long-term operations and maintenance strategies for the region, and really just help to support the long-term vision of the partnership, but more importantly for the board's mission. So that Yolo Bypass Cashew Partnership, again, aligns several priorities for the region, and we continue to stay committed to supporting the vision of the pillars and protecting cultural and tribal significance while staying committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion as we work together in several major planning efforts in the region. The Yolo Bypass Cashew Master Plan has been quite the effort with partnership with GWR and the partnership agencies. We continue to hope to release a public draft to help guide project planning, project implementation, and align the region with the Central Valley Flood Protection Plan and its conservation strategy. It's also an important document to help inform the Army Corps' comprehensive study on the federal level, and to continue to support the partnership in efforts including CEQA compliance. The master plan schedule's been moving right along, but our administrative draft was released in the winter of 2023, and we hope to release a public draft in early 2025, which will include several public meetings in cooperation with DWR and our Yolo Bypass Cashew Partnership partners. The Central Valley Flood Protection Plan, it is our responsibility for implementation and development of work plans and strategies on implementation of the planning opportunities that we saw under the board's capacity to make those improvements. And you've seen in our engineering division and our environmental group and in our permitting opportunities, we've really made efforts to align and prioritize and improve systems to reach many of these implementation goals. We continue to work with our partner DWR in the 2027 update to ensure that we're reaching the goals for the new planning era, including climate change and further reaction and opportunities to study and improve on flood system resilience. Our ongoing planning includes those, that I just had the opportunity to focus on: the comp study, the partnership, the master plan, and making sure that as the lead agency that we have CEQA compliance, coordinating with the Central Valley Flood Protection Plan, and upcoming opportunities to continue to engage and work with our regional flood management plans, and the hard effort and the important work that's being done at the local level there.
statewide planning efforts that have commitment from the Central Valley Flood Protection Board to continue to alignment with, include sustainable groundwater management program, the state water plan and the Delta plan, and continued collaboration and engagement and communication with those important partners in the Central Valley. We also stay committed to working with local projects and local communities on system-wide project and planning support to help to continue to expand our communication engagement opportunities and continue to develop and represent those local communities and their interests and provide a platform for the voice that they have here with the Central Valley Flood Protection Board. So flood planning and programs for the Central Valley Flood Protection Board. I'm honored to be the program manager that's representing these priorities to continue to support these important regional and local priorities within the Central Valley to support our partners as the non-federal sponsor for the Yolo Bypass Comp Study, working with SAFECA and Department of Water Resources and our opportunities to improve communication and engagement, the dashboard, our website, ways for the community to engage and work with us to improve and streamline our permitting, our opportunities to hear and to provide feedback to the important voice of our local community. We work with our Department of Water Resources partner to develop the 2027 draft of the Central Valley Flood Protection Plan, as we are obliged to do, and those again present further opportunities for regional outreach and continued board updates, which I'm happy to do. And we are looking forward to the publication of the Yolo Bypass Casualty Master Plan, related CEQA efforts, and that continued engagement and ongoing for the Central Valley. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and Jeet's on board.
Thank you for that. A couple of us are aligned to this to help, so I know how challenging it is to get agreement on a master plan.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board, Jeet
Maybe-
Dua, Board Council. Oh, let me change that. Advance the slide there. So this is your legal staff. There's Sarah Backus, our which you're fortunate enough to have still, since she is a retired annuitant, and when she's not off gallivanting and checking off her bucket list and travels, we are blessed to have her support staff at a part-time basis, and it's a huge help. But also be remiss not to mention Angeles spoke to Peter Thyberg, who's a DWR attorney who helps out with our enforcement actions, prosecuting those before the board and helping get those resolved. It's a huge help given our workload and limited staff we have. And then the picture on the right, I don't recognize, but Amber said that is you. So I included it. In any event, see that we're going to be short on time here. So I would just say in general, the legal staff, you've heard everything today. We support all the different branches and myself, of course, the board. Anything that typically goes through the office is either reviewed by myself, Sarah, or both. So I don't want to go into too much detail here given the time, but you can take a look at the slide. And again, since staff has done such a wonderful job about all the programs and their efforts, we are there to support those. Litigation, we have the following active cases. Obviously can't discuss those, but they are always on our agendas for the board meetings. I will note there are various eminent domain matters. We have a slew of those that aren't usually included. Those are a result of take letters issued by the Army Corps of Engineers for flood control projects, of which the board is a non-federal sponsor of. And so when the local non-federal sponsor is required to provide those LERDs, many instances, the drainage district already has real estate rights. And so the board is, and the drainage district is named as an indispensable party. Those are resolved before an answer is filed. Our efforts are typically determining and the accuracy of the real estate boundaries that are listed in the complaint, and then we enter into a stipulation where any judgment doesn't affect the board's rights, since those lands taken eventually come to the board, or there is a cooperative easement where the board has access to those. So next. Oops. This again is just more support for board's goals, projects, things that they're interested in addition to staff work. And land management, you heard from Jamie Silva. We also assist reviewing and approving all of the form to any of those type of efforts. And then finally, Public Record Acts requests. As you're aware, we've had a lot of public comment on various projects of interest to the public, and so that has resulted in quite a few public records requests. Big thanks and shout out to Detta, who's our coordinator, managing all of those, and we work with DWR's PRA attorney as well, and then staff, of course, who are assigned with collecting the documents to find documents that are responsive to those requests. And with that, I will turn it over to our executive officer, Mr. Leaf, to close things out.
Thank you.
Still morning
I
yet.
left
We-
my pen and fidget toy up here and it's still here.
The board has a commitment at 12, so we have to aim for the meeting to end. So I apologize, I took some time away by not being time.
I will be brief to wrap up. I know I'm the last thing standing between us and lunch. So I wanted to wrap up today's presentation by reiterating some of the significant things we'll be concentrating on in the next year. We'll soon learn how much our budget will be cut. And we must make the most of what we have left to advance our important work. We need to leverage the flexibility we have to make the most of our resources. General fund resources will be tough to secure, so we need to develop other opportunities. We're seeking grant funding to advance parts of our mission. We need to develop alternatives to general fund reliance, including expanding the use of fees for regulatory activities we perform, as well as potentially developing more reimbursement agreements. These efforts will help us make stronger arguments for securing additional resources to meet our obligations and to provide better service to the regulated community. We'll also continue the work of improving our processes, looking for ways to be more efficient, both internally and how we work with our partners. We also must continue to work to make it easier to implement system improvements and multi-benefit projects. This includes continuing to work with our partner agencies as well as improving our own regulatory processes. So I'll conclude where I started, gratitude. It's a funny thing about life. Once you begin to take note of the things you're grateful for, you begin to lose sight of the things you lack. Our jobs are tough, and they can be stressful and full of challenges. It helps to take a moment to appreciate what we have instead of focusing on what we don't. As we've discussed today, this small group of staff accomplish a lot, and you have reason to be proud of the work that they have done on your behalf. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be your executive officer, for our strong and engaged board, and for the excellent staff we have here. I'm very much looking forward to continuing this work in the year to come. And I'll close with the wisdom of Henry Winkler to sum this all up. I live by two words: tenacity and gratitude. Thank you.
I counted the number of times all of you said something about your gratitude for who works in your unit, your section, your branch. And that was each other. It's little hash marks are just across the page. That's so appreciate that. So I know that we are proud of you all and thank you for the presentations, the PowerPoints and that big packet Mr. Leaf gave to us. We have 1.5 minutes of other comments. 30 seconds over here. Oh, Butler?
Yes, I was just going to say I really enjoyed reading the comments about what to look ahead for in 2025. I thought that was really helpful and just look forward to supporting the work of the board next year.
Ready? Nope. Fine.
Just want to say thanks for everybody. And I thought the ending on gratitude and tenacity was really appropriate. And
That one I don't cry.
if we're not talking a lot, it's because we were told not to, not because we wouldn't be, not because we wouldn't be interested. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Mr. Leaf who said we couldn't talk.
Every once in a while you listen. Call for public.
Remember Grego? Anything?
Let's go to lunch.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Before I can close the meeting, I have to ask if there's public comment. Online? No. Board workshop is adjourned.
Yeah, and then